in the using the Railway Labor Act, that a PEB, like a bargain that was kind of brokered by the president, has ever been strengthened. Like that this sets a precedent. Perhaps it's been done for airlines, but it has never happened before with rail workers. It's always been, here it is, we're shoving this down your throat, take it. So for the House to make it actually better sets a new precedent.
Precedent for what?
So they've been stalling this for they've installed that Congress can actually make a deal for workers better. So there's a
he is really trying to sell this garbage. This narrative is garbage. This is why he looked like the deer in the headlights when I read that article from the World Socialist website, because he was like, because he didn't know there was some reporting on this very thing that was a scam.
Yeah, he don't know what the socialists are saying, CJ.
He didn't know.
Look, maybe he saw the Social Democrats falling for this, right? the professional. They're like, yeah, actually that makes sense. Yeah, I saw your interview, Ryan. Yeah, I guess the workers are for it. So he saw the Social Democrats get tricked, and then he saw what we was talking about. He saw War Socialist website, and he ran to the bull that is Kshama Sawant, and he's like, oh, this is what. I tell you guys, this is what no Marxist analysis does to the motherfucker. Walking in blind. Well, go ahead, CJ.
All right.
And there's a reason he cares about this, and he explained it. The carriers have been stalling for 3 years, as you know. You've covered this.
Yes.
And the reason that they've been stalling is because they know that they can just jam it down their throats, using the Railway Labor Act and using Congress, right? So now that has changed a little bit because now you have a situation where the House has actually made it better. So if the union, so they're 2 years away from their next contract negotiation. Those negotiations practically start now. Actually, they still have to wrap up the last one, but they're going to start negotiating their next contract very soon. Now the carriers know that there is precedent that in the House, with enough public attention, enough organizing, and enough pressure on them, the House might actually make that deal better for workers. So now the carriers can't just sit there and say, no, we're not going to negotiate at all. We're not going to bargain with you at all. You're just going to take what you can get. And so 2 years from now, and that's what organizing is.
I don't know if you hear what he's saying. This is a pitch for Democrats in 2024 to win the Senate. I don't know if you hear what he's saying, Nick. He's saying Ryan. It's going to pass in the House, and all we need to do is get it passed in the Senate. That's where he's leading this down this road here, because he just said in 2 years, he's saying, look, we're winning. Look, the House passed this. We can make the legislation better. And look where they're trying to make this red blue. It's the Republicans that's stopping it in the Senate. We just need 6 more or whatever more Democrats in the Senate. This is where this is going, because there's no other way for your scenario, Ryan, to work unless you get more people in the Senate. It always leads back to Democrats. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was about to take offense. I used to sell cars. We're not that bad. This guy said, this is what a used car sells. No, guys, we were trying our best. Don't compare me to Ryan Grimm, okay? Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was a salesperson. I never sold cars, but I would have. I never sold cars, but I was sold cell phones. So people look at us just as bad. So
it's like
Ryan, how
building.
Good might the deal have been if Congress were not empowered to crush the strike power that gives labor their entire leverage? What kind of bill would we be discussing if we didn't have Congress empowered by the Railroad Labor Act to swoop in and negotiate on behalf of business?
Oh, it would probably be a lot better. But it got 80 votes in the Senate and 290 in the House. So we don't live in that world.
But now, Ryan, we are progressives on a progressive podcast that are talking about the incremental improvement, apparently, to a deal that people have been saying firmly no to, despite any other incremental improvements that have been offered up on the table, because the fundamental crux of the disagreement, the sick days, were not in it. And this is why, Ryan, people have accused other reporters who have been covering this, and Jamal Bowman, AOC, Jonah Furman, others, of basically neutering the power of the moment and providing cover for the establishment. Because at the end of the day, the shift in the conversation from why on earth do we have this bill that enables Biden to crush a labor action? And why does Biden get to still call himself the best labor president since FDR while crushing labor? Instead of having that conversation, vociferously argued by the squad members in the broader left media sphere, we're having the conversation. We are celebrating what are supposed to be the left flank of our political discourse for creating a machination in the House that gave cover to progressives to allow that strike crushing to happen in the first instance.
So, but maybe the workers don't want to be part of this fantasy play. Like the workers,
what
like actually.
What are you talking?
So to get rid of the Railway Labor Act, good. Let's get rid of the Railway Labor Act of 1923. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no like who's organizing that? Coming in here after it's already been enacted.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
It's already it's done, and then people are going to come in on Monday morning and say they're going to get rid of the Railway Labor Act.
Me got so mad she forgot she had to guess.
I think this is.
Like she said, this is Bree getting mad. This is Bree getting mad. She go, let me let my my socialist alternative voice take it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Brian Grimm is so infuriating. He even pissed Bree off, and she damn near she forgot she had a guest. She's also
wait a minute. I'm the host. I'm the host. Hold on. I'm the host. I'm the host. Kashama, go Shama, do your thing. Kashama, go ahead.
Yeah, but go ahead.
And you can look at her face. You tell me she ain't smirking, knowing that Kashama's about to rip this nigga to shreds. That's the look of I brought my friend, and she's about to whoop your ass, guy.
This is just terrible. This kind of obfuscation. It's like, moving the goalpost at every moment to in order to keep from admitting
Bree's face.
Undeniable logic that Brianna, you were talking about. That there is no universe where you can describe this as a good thing. There was nothing good to be gained out of voting for a bill without the basically, as the TA bill, as you were saying, and I see you shifting your arguments when every time we present an argument, you're talking about something else. When you went on the Revolutionary Blackout Network podcast, you said that you're not arguing. It's a court.
This is where she quotes us the first time, so I was laughing over it. Let me rewind it so you can hear it.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I hear
it. And I see you shifting your arguments when every time we present an argument, you're talking about something else. When you went on the Revolutionary Blackout Network podcast, you said that you're not arguing. It's a court. You said you're not arguing. It's a good thing that the squad did, and yet your overwhelming emphasis is quote unquote explaining, I'm saying putting quotes because I don't think it explains it, but you're trying to explain and defend their action. When you talk about them, you say it's Biden. When you say it's Biden, it's the Railway Labor Act, So it doesn't matter what we say, you are going to, your goal is to defend the status quo. And I have to say, more than anything else, it is just rotten to hide behind what some supposed workers said in some podcast, and probably very likely said it in a desperation of not having had a way out, with both their union leaders having failed to organize a strike action and build for mass solidarity nationwide, and with both the Democrats and Republicans selling them out. Yeah, so in that moment of desperation, maybe a worker said that. I don't need to watch that podcast to know which side I am on. I don't need a memo from union rank and file to know which side of a strike breaker bill to be on. Bernie Sanders didn't need a memo. He knew what was the right thing to do.